You are now live.
We are live?
You are live.
There is one thumb. Can I have two thumbs? There's two of us. Both thumbs, just to show Mike does have two hands. Welcome to a very special live. Oh my word. What a week it's been so far. In the house is a slightly jet lagged, but extremely enthusiastic man by my side. A legend in his own lunchtime. He doesn't need any further introduction. I'll actually let him introduce himself, be honest, because some of you might not know him. So, who are you, young man? I feel like Johnny Carson.
So, I'm Narad. I am the UK ambassador for Unite Hair. And I've been here all week working at Unite TV. We've been doing some nice videos and stuff, working through the night my time. But yeah, it's been quite a week so far.
The week that was?
Really slaving away. We're cracking the whip on this one.
Well, I'm not surprised because Stacey's here. She's not normally here whenever I do a video, and she's just a slave driver. So, you know, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, isn't it? So, you know, truth be told. So I'm going to get her on camera at some point as well. She's not camera ready yet. She'll want to rush out to the makeup artist probably. Anyway, without further ado, we've got a nice little Q&A session going on. Mike, stop laughing. The camera's going to keep shaking. Have you got anyone saying hello? Zooming in? Anyone chiming in? Because they can do their usual.
Anybody in here, just go ahead and
as the usual.
comment in. And I'll
Well, it's a Q&A day.
Yeah.
You know, so I have got the top hits of questions here to ask him. Like where does he live? What shoe size does he take? Things like that. Maybe it wasn't actually. Without further ado, let's hit the first one. From salon floor to working on set. What's your story? How'd you get there?
Well, Gary, you might know my story.
Well,
Yeah. So, you know, I started hairdressing when I was 15 years old, and I was just working in my local Tony and Guy at the time. And then I didn't really like how I did hair. I wasn't didn't feel very confident in what I was doing. So I made a big jump and I went to London and joined a celebrity hair salon.
Let's go about that. Why didn't you feel confident?
I just knew I wasn't good at what I was doing. I didn't have a belief in my ability, I would say. And I just knew I could be better.
Was that a realisation over time, or did you just have a day where you just thought, I'm not doing what I should be doing here?
Well, I think I come from a small town, so I think there's that the idea sometimes. Well, I think especially being young as well. You know, you kind of think you know everything, don't you?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So yeah, I think it was a mix of both things. Where I just think there was a realisation that I wasn't confident in going into like a career where my initial training wasn't as good as I think it could have been.
And was there something specific you felt you lacked, or was it just all overall?
Yeah, just everything really. I think it was just generally just like even now, like what we talk about, just you know how you control hair with your hands. I think just feeling, you know, quite awkward with holding tools and stuff like that. I just didn't like it. You know, on reflection, maybe I just hadn't been doing it long enough. But I do think there was definitely I needed to be re-educated for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, I get it. Everyone learns at a certain pace, and their graph, if you look at it, I think it peaks and troughs all the way through your learning process. So maybe you were just in a trough, and you were ready to go. But yes, you just needed another avenue.
Yeah, so I was 21 when I joined that salon, and that's where I met Gary. So Gary was the creative director.
14 at the time.
Yeah.
Hope the filter's on, Mike.
And so Gary retrained me, sort of took me under his wing. And so that's pretty much that. And then I was just working.
How was that?
Training under you. Well, I mean, it was good. It was what I wanted though at the time. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to be good at it, and I knew that would take hard work. So that was that thing, you let me come in on my day off, and like, you know, what I see it now, it was potentially like little opportunities, potential challenges, like would I do that? You know, did I want it that much?
Yeah, no, I always look at it like you give someone a push and throw the opportunity in front of them, and it's a very easy recipe. It's either a yes/no scenario. You know, that's all I ever did when I was growing up, which is say yes to everything. You know, it didn't do me any harm. Sometimes it was a horrendous job, sometimes it was a horrible early morning start, but you know, in the long process it was. So, okay, so you get through your salon life.
Yeah.
Do quite well there, I thought as well, in such a short space of time. And then how did you start transitioning into session work?
Well, I think the thing with the session work, where we worked, there was a lot of stylists there that did do session work. And I think potentially at that time I wasn't open or like ready to do it, because I did get given opportunities and stuff to do that. Like I remember assisting Sarah Bridson on a job, and it was like, at the time it was an actress who was in one of our big soaps in the UK. She was in EastEnders, and we like spent all day with her, and that was like mind blowing at the time for me. And that was like, I did that, but there was other things that I could have potentially done which would have potentially like kicked my career off earlier. But basically when I decided that I was going to start doing it, it was literally just having a conversation with someone that I met. And through that, I ended up working with a band on a music video just one day, which I very nearly didn't do, but I did. And then that's sort of, the rest was history then. I was in with the band, and we were doing all different sorts of programs. And you'd already moved over here by that time. And then you came back over and said, right, well, I'm working with this company, Unite. You need to throw all of that other stuff in the bin and just start using this. And that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, those sliding doors moments, you can look back in your career and everyone has those. And once again, it was that case of, like you said, you didn't fancy doing it, but you just said yes. And that door opened up into opportunities. I think we've all got those. So basically the question we're sort of driving at there, what one bit of advice would you give a stylist that wants to go down that path? And I've got one as well that I will give.
Well, I think, like, for me, I actually had this conversation with someone the other day. I met a guy who's at the start of his career, and what it was I noticed he had just that same want that I wanted before. Like I used to.
Does that make you feel old?
A little bit, yeah. But like, it was just more the thing of like, I was just talking to him.
Because you recognise yourself in it. I mean, that's what I've gone through that so many times.
Yeah, but it's like the thing of like looking at other, like watching. I used to watch, certain people's Instagrams. It was out doing New York Fashion Week. They'd be prepping air until like 2 a.m. and I just used to watch them videos and think, I just want to do that like so bad. And like also like working with celebrity and like working with.
I'm just going to freeze this because he gave me the all-time quote when Fashion Week finished this season. This is the truth, right? Okay. The best line I've ever heard. He said to me, "Will it ever be fun again?"
Wow. Okay.
That was a good one. So that was.
But come and join us.
Yeah. And by that he meant because we were just so tired and we were prepping hair till crazy times in the morning, getting up at stupid o'clock and doing everything. And we were overtired, really hungry and everything else. And I was like, no, those days are long gone. You know, once you start getting to this end of it all and you start working on the shows and you have to sort out the shows, sort out all the prep and all the rest of it, that's what makes the team enjoy it.
Yeah.
Our enjoyment's irrelevant.
The logistics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the initial thing is having the want to do it, like whatever it is, because then, like you said it already, it's just saying yes to every opportunity that you get. I look back on things now, and I often forget the amount of things that I actually did just say yes to and have done, and some of them things then don't always work out. Some of them are just a waste of time.
Yeah.
But it is every opportunity. It gives you a chance to meet new people. You don't know where the next opportunity comes from. It could be any single person across that day that you meet. And it's just getting into the right rooms, meeting the right people. And as I say, I just think mainly just having that drive and like sort of almost a vision of sort of where you're trying to get to, I think.
I was going to say my one sort of driving factor about it all as well. I just thought, growing up in London, just being very lucky that is, the demographic of that's where the work goes on. So if anyone is really serious about it, I think you do have to move. Be brave enough to move to where these things go on. So, argument's sake, if you're in the US and you're living in middle of, I don't know, Montana up in the mountains. As beautiful as it is, you're not going to get a phone call asking you to come and do a shoot in New York on Monday morning until you're really famous. And they call you and fly you in. So I think you've just got to be brave enough and you've got to move to LA or move to New York or spend time in those places. You know, if you're in Europe, you go and spend time in London, in Paris, etc., and you go and do the route that way. You've got to be accessible to it. So there is that. All right. Any questions coming down the phone, Mike?
Nope.
Nothing?
No.
No one even said hello.
No, I've got a question that either of you could possibly shine some light on, though.
Is he allowed to do that, Stace?
Do you need some help?
Mike's now
with your
giving
career,
us questions.
Mike?
Yeah, he's feeling left out.
If you, like, you're saying just do it, just take the opportunity, whatever that opportunity might be, you're potentially wasting a lot of time doing that along the way. Maybe you're seeing some red flags as you start to do more of those things. Do you ignore those red flags and keep taking it anyway because you never know what might happen? Or do you just, you know, reroute that and go, no, I'm not falling for that again?
For me, I think you develop a knack for sometimes picking up on the ones that may have really a lot of that going on, and some are just worth it. You know, it doesn't sound great, and there's classic examples of where it doesn't sound great and they've turned out marvellous. They sounded fantastic and turned out not so great. And then there's others that you could just say are just, you know, a bit of both.
Okay.
So I just think you can't physically beat experience, can you?
Right, so maybe early on just take it no matter what.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you've never done it.
yeah, I think there's definitely, as I say, there's definitely days when I get to the end of the day and you go, oh, that wasn't worth it. But yeah, you definitely do build up a thing where you can start to read it as it comes through. You know, you're like, I can kind of cut through the lines of what's being given to me here. Like, is that actually true or is that a little bit inflated? Generally, if something comes through and it sounds too good, it normally is. So yeah, I just have a bit of a filter now. I know what's potentially good to take, but then there's also things, as I say, it ain't always about. There's always different things. It could be just working with a certain photographer. It could be working with a certain makeup artist. But then it could also be just what publication it's for. It could be the model that you want to work with. So there's all different things that can happen.
Yeah.
And you can't, you know, it's people at the end of the day. There might be someone there that ruins the day, but like that's out of your hands.
I think it's a massive relationship-driven business as well.
Yeah.
You know, when you first start doing it, you work under someone, and you might go and do a job and say yes to someone, and you actually don't work well with that person.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's the end of your career. You find someone else to go and work with, and then there's teams that like working with each other, and they call back and they do that. It's just like Fashion Week, you know. I say, like, just because you may come and do Fashion Week maybe with us and you don't like us too, doesn't mean like every other team is like that.
Right.
You know, there is just multiple relationships going on everywhere, and you find that team. It's like the brand, you know, Unite, the brand that we are in. You know, we love it. It's part of us. It's got our DNA all over it now. It's that was what Dale called the bus. You get on that bus. There's always other buses though, isn't there?
Yeah.
So you've got to find those relationships that work, and maybe mould your personality so you can fit in, because you can't call the shots at the beginning. So, you know, you've got to go in there and be a personable person.
Right.
You know, otherwise it's just not going to work. It's just, yeah.
So no matter the opportunity, there's always something positive
Yeah.
to pull out.
Yeah. There might be sorry, mate, but there might be like just one amazing makeup artist
Yeah.
that loves working with you and say, I've got a job going on next week, come and do that with me.
Yeah.
And they've got nothing else to do with that job. Or the photographer just said, oh, I really love what you've done there. Didn't like the makeup too much, but your hair was great. Maybe come do this job.
And likewise, they have clients, they're going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
so-and-so will love you, I'm going to get you on it, or whatever. But I do think, just thinking about what I was saying, with all of those opportunities, because you have a drive and a want and a desire to do it, that's always going to make you say yes, more than trying to read like the red flags.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like the whole reason why you end up doing well or getting there is because you had a passion in the beginning. So the idea of actually being able to go and spend the day doing what you love, that's enough drive to get you out to do it.
This is a classic case. We still do that. No word about it, we still do it. And I'll give this example. We work with very young designers in New York, don't we, in Paris, London, etc. Now we've now done her show the last 3-4 seasons, Pip & Co. Super young designer. We'd never worked with her before. I think it was one of her first times coming along. Turns out she went to my same school, but but she's a designer in New York. But am I glad we did her first show and said yes to it? You know, she had no track record of it all, and you just thought, this could have been a bad one, could have been a train wreck, but it's been amazing, and that journey with her has been incredible.
Yeah, watching that growth is
it's been phenomenal, and that's just purely because we said yes, let's do it. So it's swings and roundabouts everywhere.
There you go. So take the opportunity.
Such is life, isn't it? Like, it's a metaphor for life.
You
Building.
You do have a hello from London from Ruby Locks Hair watching.
Yes, Lauren.
She's got a great story. She has got a great story herself. Thought session workers were all complete idiots and didn't want to work with them, but she's come on board, and anyway, see you in January, I hope. Building a celebrity clientele. How do you earn the trust and build long-term relationships? There's a typo on that, but I've just gone over it.
I mean, I don't think there's any secret to that. I think that is the same relationships that you have in life. Do you know what I mean? It's either you are a trustworthy person or you're not. I think basically, I don't try and be any different.
I was told quite a long time ago, though, they often felt leaks from celebrities came via hair and makeup departments a lot, apparently. I don't know if that's true or not, but I was told that. So they were always very, not suspicious, but they would be a little bit offish with you when you first started working with them, until you do it a few times, and then it's like you've got that big arm around your shoulder, and that's it. You are as good as gold, and they trust you. So I don't know whether that's true or not, but I took that to very much to heart, and and just always stayed back and out the way until they bring you in. I think, and try not to be too pushing. That's not your personality either, I know that. So
no, but that's what I mean. I don't approach it in any other way than if I'm just meeting someone for the first time. Like, I wouldn't go straight into a new relationship with anyone being like, "Way!" Do you know what I mean? You're gonna obviously approach first, like, with a bit of caution, being respectful and that, and then obviously when you start to build your relationship, that's when you can start to like have a bit more, a bit more about you. But like, I think with anything, when you meet new people, you either like them or you don't. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and that does happen in certain, with certain clients. Sometimes you don't fit, no matter how well you get on with your other clients. Like, sometimes it just doesn't work, and that's where it's no different to having clients, behind the chair or whatever. You attract like the sort of people, like, what's that saying? You attract what you put out.
Yeah. And it's like someone said to me years back, I can't remember if it was who said the actual saying, but don't take it all personally. We always say it to people. Otherwise, Vidal Sassoon would be the only person who ever cut hair on the planet. It's a personable thing. So, just because that celebrity didn't maybe like the way you did their hair, doesn't mean the other one doesn't. And this is the worst one. And he still talks about it now. I think this is hilarious. You might do someone's hair, do it really well, and then you find they've gone off to work with someone else.
I never said that.
Oh, and then they come back to you, or sometimes they don't. And I said, well, that's just the way it is. They like to sort of test out, and you're like, oh, and then you second guess yourself, think, oh, didn't I do a great job last time? My hair looked really cool, I thought. Blah, blah, blah. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. When I
talk to other people that do my job, though, I think the one thing that you do find is it's so hard not to take it personally. Because, as we said, if this is everything that you've put your life into and it is your passion, it's everything you've got, like, if I'm doing your hair, which is everything I've given my life to, and then you don't like it, this kind of makes you kind of feel a bit
look, well, yeah, we've had it at the shows. I mean, I won't name the designer, but we've done the show one season. We absolutely loved it, and we're like, I hope we get that one back. And then we do it one more time, and then we didn't get it, and we were gutted. And then we got it back because they didn't like the other team that came in and done it, and realised what job we did. And I think that's an actually even better feeling. That's actually worked out even better. But they were like, oh, no, you're our guys. That's it. They don't even think about it anymore. They're just like, contact us directly. The show's on this date, da-da-da-da. So, yeah, it works both ways. All right, so there's your trust scenario sorted out. What does it take to be backstage at Fashion Week? Work backstage, be with us? Well, that's an easy one to answer. But it's the prep, the pressure, the passion. It's a big, big question, that.
Well, if I'll start with that. I think if you have an interest in Fashion Week, just like what I was saying before, I think that's the initial thing. the thing about working at Fashion Week is that it's going to be something that is going to take a lot from you initially. So it's going to be a lot of time. Initially, it will be a lot of money because you're going to have to pay for like traveling and like stay in places and, you know, time out of your shop and all of those sorts of things. But again, it's something that if you have an interest and a passion in it, it can be incredibly rewarding.
And you talk about the cost. I'm just going to say to hairdressers, make a budget for it. All right, this is completely alien, but I costed it out one haircut a week. That's what it is. You can actually, it will give you a surplus. Just, you know, they just don't budget. But if you do, think of it like a little savings account, and you just like, because if you just think of it just doing one haircut, don't think about the money. I know about the money you charge, but just think, I've got to do one extra haircut this week. You will do that without any problem whatsoever.
So yeah, I just think that's the thing. It's going to be initially just a want to do it. That's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
Because if you're not that interested, you're probably not going to get anything out of it. But there was that thing that I sent to you, a guy that I follow who used to do work on the backstage teams.
Yeah, that was very good.
He summarised it up. He did like a throwback to Fashion Week when he used to work with Sam McKnight, and I just really liked how he put it. It was like, you know, it sort of ran its course for him. He did some really incredible things, worked on some amazing shows with amazing people, and he said it just sort of ran its course for him. He spent a lot of money doing it, and it served its purpose, and then now he's put it to bed and that's it, and now he's gone on to better things. But it served him in so many ways, and he got so many things out of it. But it was just like, you know, doing the 4 cities twice a year, it was sustainable for so long. And I just liked it because it really highlighted, you know, all the great positives from it, but it also did touch on the fact that, yeah, like, this is not like a thing that you're just going to do and, like, you know, be a millionaire doing it.
No, and I from my personal standpoint, I always like, I'm going to do that. That was all it was. It was always, I'm going to do that, irrespective of whatever it takes. I'm going to go and work backstage Fashion Week. Once I saw it, I was like, that's what I want to do. Get stuck in at the deep end, and you know that I wasn't even thinking about leading shows at that point or whatever. It's just like I just want to be in that room, in that chaos, working on that, working with the other teams, and it's a case of like you either want to be dependable, that people rely on you, or you want to be dependable for someone, and just have that ethic. Doesn't matter what time of day it is, and then it's built onto something else. And now, as I say, we're now leading shows. So obviously, then that's why we created Runway Ready here at Unite, is to give you that pathway to come and work backstage. And it is, I say this to people, it's not a career path, it is to give you a taste of what it's like to work backstage. If you then become serious about it, we've got people that have come back time and time again that are now working through the program, and they, you know, they've now led a couple of shows in Europe, or they've gone on to other things. And then we've always also had people that have worked with us, done it, and they've gone to work in with some major teams. Now, one girl she's moved to New York. She's now working on a huge major team, doing all the major shows. She came and worked with us again in Paris, and that's a great story in itself. So you take that wherever you want to go, but the program is to give you, it's a class that gives you 2 days. That gives you the access to come and work this backstage, and then that gives you the experience. And it's down to you then what you take with it. We're not going to give it to you and say, here's your career path. That's not what it is.
Because I think the thing is, though, that education, even though what we like do as the class is it's a 2-day boot camp, but the education really is on every show that you do, just like what we were talking about earlier about going out and doing shoots and stuff, trying to build your like sort of, you know, editorial career. It's the same thing. Every show, like, there's different models, different like hair briefs, there's all these different things. You learn something every time. Like, I still personally learn every time. Like, you take something more away, and it's just that experience. But not only that, it's also like, you know, the friendships that you make along the way, like the sort of teams that you build. You know, with so many stories of like people that are now like very, very close friends that have met through Unite, through Runway Ready, you know, both like that live in America or people like internationally as well. So yeah, I mean, I find it really rewarding. Gary did say, is it going to be fun again? But it is just, again, the nature of the course of it, of how it's been from, you know, me just assisting on teams to now that I get to lead, and I'm like privileged to have that as a, you know, as an opportunity. But then also with that now, it means I have to like organise people and stuff as well. But it's still incredible. And we had an influencer came to one of the shows in New York. She's from the UK, and we were having a chat backstage, and she was just sort of like really. She reminded me of like what I was doing. She kind of was saying like, that's amazing. Like what you're doing is amazing. Like, and sometimes you kind of get lost in the whole thing and kind of don't actually take that minute to recognise that. And that was
and that's what I was driving at. Is that creative industries, you're never happy.
No,
you're not happy in not with the job, but like what you're doing. We don't ever look at that show and go, oh, that show worked out 100%. It never feels that way. It's like, oh, damn, that one just doesn't look right. That one's not good. And we're just criticising everything that's walking down the runway, and we're just like, well, we don't like that one. That one could have been better, and we could have so much easily have done that next time. And we have those conversations with the designers now as well. I'm like, we could have prepped that one so much better. That's where we're driving at, and that's where at our end of it all. That's where hopefully you're trying to be professional and keep pushing it. Is that's where, and then you'll look back on it. Hopefully, when you get to my age, and you'll be like, oh, that was fun. But there you go.
And that's why this whole week has been so eventful, because I'm trying to make everything perfect. It's just it's a never-ending job.
Yep, never get there. That's what makes you better. Here's the last one. Mistakes that made me better. Ooh.
Every day, baby. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this before. I think a good one for me personally was where I've worked with a client, and I worked with an actress one time, and it ended up not it didn't turn out very well. But what I really took from that is sort of how to manage a room better. Like, I kind of wasn't confident in myself, and I've since been able to use that experience, which at the time was pretty devastating to me. Like, again, as I say, going into something that you put your life into, and then, leaving feeling like you can't do it and you're not good at your job, and like those feelings aren't good. But I now have turned that into like a positive, where I can now, use that to like make situations much better in the future. So that's definitely one that was definitely a life lesson, but I wouldn't have been able to do that unless I had experienced it. So it's like that thing, you always learn from mistakes, right?
Yeah, it's your fastest learning curve.
But you have to make the mistakes to be able to learn. And I think that's also really important obviously we love doing hair, and we love it when people react in like a really positive way and they think you're like the best hairdresser in the world. Like, obviously that's great. But it's also, I think, really important to know, like, when something hasn't gone right or people aren't happy, how can you like fix it, or like how can you change it? And again, like we were just saying, sometimes it might not be what you think. Like, you may think you've done it good, but it's not quite what the designer wanted, or what the whoever wanted. Yeah. Even if it's just your client, but it's just kind of realizing that how can you fix that? And as I say, you have to kind of make the mistakes and be okay with not being perfect, I think.
How do you navigate those like taste values if you're heading in one direction, but maybe the person who hired you do it? You should just beat yourself up about it. No,
it's just trying to understand. That's that whole thing of like why in real simple terms, like in a consultation, like why would we use images instead of just words? Do you know what I mean? Because your curly is different to mine. Right. So it's like, it's always the same thing, just trying to break down. I mean, we have it, especially working internationally, breaking down language barrier is like quite a big thing, do you know what I mean? Of like understanding what the brief is. Or, quite iconically, I had a show in London where my brief for the hair was Scottish. That's no lie. Like, that was literally all I had to work with on the fly. And it was like, what does that mean? Like, do you know what I mean? So it was then obviously asking all of the questions to try and actually find out, like, break the code of like, what is that? And
out of interest, what was their minds? I was like damp weather, misty.
No.
What it did to the hair,
red curl,
or just wearing a kilt or upside down. What was their perception of that?
I think they were kind of more leaning towards, there was the Dior show in Scotland, and that was kind of more what they meant. It was kind of more like braiding and stuff. But again, like, how do you get from Scottish to braiding? So it's like, as I say, it was just being patient enough to try and like break the code effectively of like, what the hell are we
Well, there
doing?
you go. There's two separate interpretations of the same thing. If you said to me, Scottish hair, I'm instantly thinking of misty Highlands and what it does to the hair.
Well, I thought I was quids in when I thought that as well. I was like, oh, easy. But yeah, no, it wasn't.
Quids in is an English expression, by the way.
Never
It
heard
means,
Never heard that one.
well, a quid is what we call a pound. We call it a quid. So don't ask me what it means, where it comes from. It's an age-old
Dollar
expression. Yeah, so that's what it is, with quids in. We've got one here, the art of collaboration. How do stylists, makeup artists, designers work together to create a look? Well, no.
Well, I'll tell you one
Far
thing.
away.
Do you remember Carty that we used to work with? He was from Kuala Lumpur. I used to work in a salon with this guy, and he was very nice. He used to work with Eugene. And he told me a long time ago when I first started my career, he was like, he very much saw hair as like, sort of like there's like the styling, the makeup, and hair just kind of comes in just to kind of finish the whole thing. And I still think about that like a lot. Like, I've done a lot of shoots in my time where hair's trying to do the hair thing, makeup's trying to do the makeup thing, the clothes are trying to do the clothes thing, and it ends up looking like one hell of a hot mess.
I've always said it's not a hair show, it's not a hair competition, it's just the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that is basically what he was saying as
Yeah.
well. And it's like, that's the sort of thing I just like to try and like, a little bit of seasoning, do you know what I mean, at the end? But sometimes those dynamics can change. It can be more hair, like, do you know what I mean? And like, it could be more simple makeup or like, but it's knowing, I think that's the thing when I work with like my peers now, it'll often be like, if we know that that's the vibe from the client, then one will like go a bit more and one will go a bit less, but it's definitely trying to create an overall image. My whole thing is I'm always trying to think about the end image, like what is it as a whole? Like, I don't really want to just do like incredible hair with like awful makeup and like really bad clothes. Like, I'm just trying to make it all make sense.
Yeah, I've got someone barracking me in silence from the background, telling me to get off set. Now she's just giggling. She used to do that through the wall at me as well when I used to work in the other office. From my end of that, it's just like, I think you just get a creative element depending on all of those mixes. Some people will like give you free rein. Here's what I want to do. You show me what you got in your head, and then others are just very, very particular. It has to look like that. And so that's where I'm going back to. Session styling is problem solving and being, personable, etc. And also, getting rid of any ego and showing them like, this is what I do, blah, blah, blah. But that's irrelevant because this is what they want. And that comes into that element as well. So I think that's a very, very big part of it, is being, be able to placate people and just to sort of, just to recognise that moment of like, okay, this is what they want. It's irrelevant at what I feel about it or what my taste value is, because this is what they want. And that's what I'm going to have to go with. This is not how I do it. This is not how I do it backstage. This is not how I do it when I'm in the salon. This is not because of the products. Some are very specific. I want this on the hair and I want it to look like this. So you have to have that as well. Anyway, fantastic questions. We've got nothing coming down the phone, Mike? No one?
A couple of great compliments came along the way. Legend was used a lot. Legends in the making here.
From? Have I got to pay them?
Yeah, Bella, who was in yesterday. The Legends was a comment. And then Nerfy Beauty, I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Great leaders. I've had the pleasure to work under their lead for New York Fashion Week. And made some great, Ruby chimed in again, made some great friends, and had a great time with Unite at Runway Ready. Yeah,
she's gone from doing London, she come and worked in Paris, she's going to come and do Milan, so she's worked internationally. That really is, for me, that's been the beauty of it. We've had people come from there, they come and work to Miami Swim Week, and we've taken them from a salon in the middle of nowhere, and they've gone, narrowed to, especially over there, they've gone to Morocco. You've got taking someone to, where is it next week?
Qatar next week.
Qatar, is it Doha? Taking them to Doha. So that, if you're into international travel, I've always said be careful what you wish for, but and you live a life of jet lag like we do, but you can make it happen. It just takes a little bit of time and effort. Anyway, that's enough for us. We've been told to get off, get out, shut up. Next week she's in, isn't she?
She is.
The great filter queen herself, Miss Arby's.
Wow.
Booster breakdown, all about the booster range, I presume. Yeah, from shampoo, conditioner, right through to all those wonderful styling products. November 17th, as usual, 10 a.m. It says Alison, Ali Filter on the board. There you go. So,
Ali the money.
Ali the money. Yeah, show me the money. Mercadefi. Yeah, she'll be here next Monday. They've had enough of me. It's been wonderful to have narrowed in the chair by the side of me this time round, purely because I always get to do this on my own and have to talk to the camera and Mike's thumb. So until next time, ciao for now.